Today I want to talk about authorized users on a credit card. I want to explain the good and the bad of it, what an authorized user actually is, how it can help your friends and your family as well as your children, and how it helped myself personally go from a 500 FICO score to over a 780 FICO score with over 8 credit cards and over $65,000 of revolving credit. My name is Jay, and welcome to Ask a Debt Collector. I've been in the debt collection industry for over 15 years. During that time span, I've done it all, from skip tracing to collecting to working in the legal department and management. Lastly, I've owned 2 debt collection agencies over the course of that time. During the last 8 years, I've been the go-to guy for friends and family for questions about debt. Now, I want to be the go-to guy for you. If you have any questions, put them down in the comment. I promise you I'll answer those questions. Let's go. Okay, so today is Friday. I will be uploading this Friday. Happy Friday to you guys out there. Before I go into it, I just wanted to sort of kind of give you something to think about. In America as a whole, what we do is we trade. Well, the weekends are always exciting. Why? Because we don't have to work. So what happens is we trade 5 days for 2 days of freedom. Think about that. 5 days for 2 days of freedom. Now think about this. If I asked you to give me $5 and I would only give you $2 back, how would you feel? Now I know that we all have to work and we all have to do what we have to do in order to get that. But some of the stuff that I teach with regards to your credit and debt is a great way to catapult you to give you better odds and not the 5-to-2 ratio. Giving up 5 just for 2 days of freedom. So just think about that. Okay, so now to an authorized user on a credit card. Now, an authorized user is an additional card holder on someone else's credit card account. Basically, you have a credit card in your name that is linked to the primary card holder's account, in essence. And that's what it is. So let's talk about some of the cons. Now, as an authorized user on someone's credit card, the reality is you want to find someone with good credit. Because if you find someone with bad credit, you got to understand on that primary card holder, if that person has bad credit and you are an authorized user on that, that's going to be reflected on your credit report, i.e. if they make late payments or it's maxed out. So as an authorized user, that could be a con, becoming an authorized user on a primary card holder's account, right? That's a tongue twister. Nevertheless, so that can be a con. So you got to find the right person, because obviously you want to try and start establishing credit as an authorized user. So you want to find someone who has good credit. So if you find someone who has bad credit or may have good credit and may go bad as an authorized user, that can hurt you. Now on the flip side, as a primary card holder, if someone asks you to be an authorized user, you want them to be responsible, right? You don't want them to charge up the card. You don't want them to, be negligent with that card, ask to use it, charge it up, and then don't pay you, because then as a primary holder, you're responsible. Now understand something. As an authorized user, if someone messes up with that credit card, and let's say they don't pay it, and it ends up negatively affecting them, when it's on your credit report, it'll be that way, but you won't be held liable as an authorized user for the fees and what's due on that aspect. You could just get off of it and start all over, and it'll be almost as if that trade line was never on your credit report. Pros of it as an authorized user, obviously, if you find someone with good credit, that credit history is established as a trade line on your credit report. So let's say they have a $3,000 credit limit, and for the past 3 years, they've made their payments on time, each time on time. That will report on your credit report as an authorized user, therefore helping your FICO score and helping you with regards to that. As the primary credit card holder, adding authorized users is a great thing. It'll help your friends and family better interest rates on loans, as well as apply for credit cards and get higher credit card limits. Now, for your kids, this is the great thing that you can do for your kids. This is something that I learned probably about 4 years ago, is when your kids turn 16 years old, add them as an authorized user on one of your credit cards. The cool thing is you can, obviously a credit card will come in their name at 16 years old. That's pretty cool. They can have a card that they can use for emergencies and so forth. And depending on the type of kid that you have, you can set limits on that credit card. So like if you had a credit card of a $5,000 credit limit, but you added your kid as an authorized user, you can actually make their limit to the max amount that they can spend on that card all the way down as low as $100, $500, or whatever the circumstance is. Helps establish their credit, right? So for 2 years, from 16 to 18 years old, they're an authorized user on one or two of your credit cards. And that person, as a primary, obviously the mother or the father, is a responsible person with their credit, then it's establishing that kid's credit. So about the time that kid turns 18 and they apply for a credit card, instead of being denied, they'll be starting ahead of the curve. So most of those people, you'll get a credit card after being an authorized user for 2 years and showing that good credit history. Your first credit card will be anywhere from $1,000 all the way up to $3,000, depending on, who your parents were. And so then you can pass that down along with them and help them get established and with credit, number one, and number two, with better interest rates if they go get a car loan or whatever the circumstance is. Now I want to tell you my story. Now, I mentioned to you, I never knew anything about authorized users pitting them as kids. But my wife, when I met my wife, with all the knowledge that I had with regards to credit and so forth, I had horrible credit. About 9 years ago, my credit was horrible. And I had all the knowledge, but obviously I just wasn't applying a lot of the stuff. I was irresponsible. And I found out about authorized users, obviously, with meeting my wife. And her credit wasn't so great. But when I pulled her credit report and we decided, okay, let's start building our credit and let's start putting ourselves in a position to get better interest rates on credit cards and so forth and to save us money. I noticed that there was a card that was in her name, but that it was for, she had a credit history of like over 20 years on this credit card. And this credit card was in a positive standing. And I'm just like, what the heck? How did you do that? And that's when she explained to me how her mom added her as an authorized user back when she was 16 years old. And that credit card, till this day, is still on her credit report and helping her out. But nevertheless, so this is basically what happened. So at that time span, when we were trying to establish and to clean up our credit, we pulled obviously copies of both of our credit reports. At the time, I had like a low 500 FICO score. I had no credit cards in good standings. I had 3 credit cards that I did not pay off, that went to collections and so forth. And I had a car loan that I didn't pay off. So I had a low 500 FICO score. My wife had a lower score. Her score was a little better than mine because she had that authorized user on that credit card, but she ended up getting some other credit cards and, messing up her credit. So as we started cleaning up each other's credit, what I noticed is once all of the negative reports on both of our credit reports was gone, my FICO score went up a bit. But hers shot through the roof. Hers went from like a 5-something all the way up to like a 680. And mine was like a 600. And I didn't understand. And when I was looking at her credit, it's because of that one authorized user for almost 20 years. And her FICO score went up a lot higher. So what did we do? We got her a credit card. I didn't apply for a credit card at that time. We waited about a year and a half and then added myself as an authorized user on that card. Once I added as an authorized user, it showed that I had about 2 years of credit history of payment through that card, and we made sure we did right by that card. Then I applied for a credit card, and I've been getting my first credit card, and it was probably, I think, about a $1,500 limit on that card. And through that time span of just making sure we took care of all of our bills, we didn't max out the credit cards. We only used the credit cards for bills. I only used it as a debit card. Whatever we used on it, we could pay back. And that's what we did for the maybe about 6 months. And then as time progresses, I apply for more credit cards, she applied for more credit cards, and about 2 years from that date, 8 credit cards with over $65,000 of revolving credit. I only use the credit cards on stuff that I know that I can pay back, and so I have $65,000 available within my credit utilization on my credit cards of that total amount set up. The next thing that I want to talk to you guys about is trade lines, possibly purchasing trade lines with me. I know that when I was younger and I was trying to figure out being an authorized user on a credit card, I didn't know anyone. So the next best thing, for those of you who are out there who don't know anybody with good credit, the next best thing is obviously to pay for it. If you want to know more about that, down below there'll be an email. Email me and then title it Authorized User. In conclusion, authorized users can be a great help for yourself and friends and family to getting credit established. It's sort of kind of like a cheat code to get ahead versus just starting with someone with zero and trying to build from there. It makes it a little bit easier. If you have any questions, put them down in the comment section. And as always, you be great.